When I take the case of women's empowerment, as you said, we must go towards that each woman can have what she needs to feed her family. That is the very essence of what we want to do. It is imperative. Otherwise, how will we educate the children? How will we take care of the children? So, in this context, you have cited a number of measures that can be considered, and we will think about the case of those who have attended vocational schools, those with academic diplomas. The Ministry of Public Service is already thinking about that, about quota issues, and also about the training centers that we have already initiated on a small scale. But it is not globalized. And I say again, the list will allow us to have a map because there are those who are in the big cities. But we must, through the lists, know how many women come from Goron, how many women come from Nyangoloko, how many women come from Nauna.
I want to start this broadcast with a question, a very fundamental question. You know, we've been asking ourselves, like, for example, personally, as a person, I've been asking myself a lot of questions about President Ibrahim Traore. This is a man that is doing things that sometimes are crazy. Because for quite some time, or for a very long time, we have never seen people who are doing things or who are working the way Ibrahim Traore is working. And to some point, we began thinking like that maybe presidents or other heads of state, that is how they are. And we had begun normalizing, okay? But since Ibrahim Traore came in the picture, we're beginning to see different kind of leadership, different kind of presidency and all that. And therefore, I want to ask you a very, very sensitive question. I want you to answer me this question on the comment section. For all the things that Ibrahim Traore is doing to Africa, fighting for the people, raising the education sector, raising the health sector, creating jobs for the youths, raising the economy of the country, paying the debts of the country, working, building roads, raising the infrastructure and roads development, all that, building factories in Burkina Faso, keeping the minerals of Burkina Faso and manufacturing them himself, visiting poor homes. Why is Ibrahim Traore doing all these things and at the end of the day not even accepting to be given salary that the presidents were being paid in Burkina Faso? He said, I'm only taking the salary that I used to take when I was when in military. That small amount they used to pay me, that is the money I'm going to continue receiving. I don't want to be given any other money. I just need that small amount they used to pay me. And at the end of the day, he is doing all these things. Now, my question is he doing these things because he is a responsible and a competent leader? Or is it because of love to the people of Burkina Faso and to the people of Africa? Tell me in the comment section. Because only someone who has love for the people can do all these things. But again, only someone who is competent and responsible can do all these things. And I'm a little bit confused. Is Ibrahim Traore doing this because of this unconditional love he has for the people of Africa? Or is he doing it because he is just executing the mandate that he has been given as a head of state? Tell me in the comment section. Because recently I have seen Ibrahim Traore going to the homes of the people of the military who fell down during war. And he has started an organization that supports the widows. If your man was a military and he fell during war, he fell on duty, you are given a special treatment if you are a widow, and the children's who are orphans. He takes care of you, and you continue getting payment and receiving money from the government that your husband was actually being paid. That is the organization, that's the movement that Ibrahim Traore has started, which is the story of today. Ibrahim Traore is taking time to visit every single orphan and every single widows or widowers, that their husbands fell on the line of duty. He says now, your husband fought for this country, he died fighting for this country, and therefore you need to be given a special treatment because this is a man who gave himself out to come and fight for the country of Burkina Faso, for the national security and all those things. He was a hero, and therefore you also, you are a hero because your man could not get out of home and go out there and start doing things without you, yourself, giving a permission. You two had to come together, talk about it, and then it happened. Therefore, you are also a hero. Take a look and watch this video, and then we shall come back and react later.
Thank you for coming in such large numbers to this conference for widows and orphans, which is the first of its kind since the beginning of terrorism. I am very happy to be here tonight to listen to your grievances, if I may say so, but also to find quick solutions to the socio-economic conditions of the wives and orphans of our comrades who paid the price with their lives. It is a war that was imposed on us. We have no choice but to fight, and that is what we are doing today. More than ever, we have the initiative on the ground, and we avenge, day by day, all those who have lost their lives in this fight since 2015. We cannot imagine the pain of each and every one of you, but we know that you are the heroes. During our absences, God alone knows how you suffer, whether we return or not. Women continue to suffer at home. Children suffer greatly from our absence. It is painful, but be sure of one thing. It is for the homeland. And all we can do is think about how to take care of you so that this pain can be eased. I think that is the very essence of this conference, which has brought you together, so that we can find solutions that come from you. It must be said, it has been 10 years now that we have been fighting, because the first terrorist acts manifested in Burkina Faso since 2015. But in 2023, I ask that we have a clear database of the wounded for their care, after visiting them at the hospital at Camp Soul. And we realized that we do not have an exhaustive list of our wounded. We also held a conference with them last year, which helped to identify many solutions. However, we needed a clear list, and that allowed us in 2023 to think about the list. If we do not have the list of our wounded, we must see if we have the list of those who remain after our heroes who have fallen. That is, the widows and orphans. We also realize that we do not have a reliable database. That is why I think that recently we have worked to develop an application through which people can register, and I have been told that the application is ready and should be launched in the hours or days to come. And all mechanisms will be put in place to help those who cannot register themselves, to accompany them so that they can register, and that we first have an exhaustive and clear list of all those who have sacrificed everything for the homeland. It is from there that we can truly support the wives and children you continue to support. But before all that, we have taken a number of measures to support as much as possible. The list will give us the extent of the situation and allow us to take appropriate measures. And it is in this sense that the ASBOVIG was created, because if we want to act effectively in favor of our wounded and our widows and orphans, we must have an agency specially dedicated to that, because there are many services, and I know that many of you are often bothered by the multitude of associations or services that continue to call you left and right for certain things. We want to standardize all this data. That is why the ASBOVIG was created, and I think you will contribute through representatives at the ASBOVIG to take charge of a certain amount of data. I am already happy with the first point that was raised, namely, finding a federation that will bring together all the widows in Burkina Faso. That is already a very good start. With the database, I think it will be very easy to do, and it is from there that we can act consistently in your favor. Returning to the points that were raised here, when I take the case of women's empowerment, as you said, we must go towards that each woman can have what she needs to feed her family. That is the very essence of what we want to do. It is imperative. Otherwise, how will we educate the children? How will we take care of the children? So, in this context, you have cited a number of measures that can be considered, and we will think about the case of those who have attended vocational schools, those with academic diplomas. The Ministry of Public Service is already thinking about that, about quota issues, and also about the training centers that we have already initiated on a small scale. But it is not globalized. And I say again, the list will allow us to have a map because there are those who are in the big cities. But we must, through the lists, know how many women come from Goron, how many women come from Nyangoloko, how many women come from Nauna, and so on. This will allow us to have, according to the geographical situation, the proportion of women, and we can decide to put specific centers in certain parts of the country to provide support. But from now on, with everything you have said, I can tell you something. We are in a dynamic of being able to integrate you as we go along, whether it is those who have diplomas or those who do not. Those who benefit from training, whether in sewing, soap making, catering, and others. We are restructuring many funds at the government level. So this year, I was able to see the report, for example, of funds that we have called Feiso Kabui. They have given loans of nearly 7 billion, but the purpose for which they take the loan, I have given instructions to redirect the loans towards strategic objectives. You will be able to benefit from loans in these structures. The FAR, which you know well, which we are also revitalizing, is in favor of all women. If the list is clear, we can have special advantages so that you can also have funds there to set yourselves up. There is the fund that existed for financial inclusion, which we have transformed into an agency recently in the Council of Ministers. If you have followed, it has become the Agency for the Promotion of Financial Inclusion, and we want to equip them so that they can support you. And it is the fund that is really dedicated to small and very small businesses, especially women who are starting businesses, to be able to have the minimum credit and be autonomous in their employment. In addition to all that, those who want to start businesses in the field of agriculture or agricultural processing, we also want to replenish the Dunkafa fund so that you can apply. And once we have the list clear enough, if you apply, the ASBOVIG will see how to interact with all these funds to facilitate and monitor what you are going to undertake. So, we do not want to train you just and leave you. We want to train you, support you, to set yourselves up, and allow you to work. When I take, for example, the field of soap, those who produce soap, it is not just about producing. Often, the sale also becomes complicated. So, we have also undertaken measures already with the Prime Minister, so that our administration can consume what we process on site. So, instructions have already been given, or will be given, so that through the Federation, we can consume what you are going to process. So you will be prioritized in all the markets that will be passed at the level of all the administrations of Burkina Faso. And we are also trying to set up an industrial unit, in the sense of the economy. There will be several industrial units to process, because in the framework of the agricultural initiative, we are doing a part for the military, and we are training the FDS to produce. And who will process the production? It is you. And we will put industrial units on site so that you can work in these units and be able to process what the military will produce so that it can also be sold at the army level. So, on this point, we are not worried. We have already taken many initiatives, and we have a clear plan so that you can be employed properly and be secure. All we ask is that you really register on the platform, and that we have a clear list, and then we can support you in everything you want to undertake. Already, certain industrial units have been launched, notably Texforce, which is the Army's textile industry, and I think that you widows are prioritized for all jobs at this industrial unit in Bobo Dioulasso. I will inform you that you are prioritized in these recruitments up to a certain category that is not technical, notably related to the handling of machines and everything else. So there are many initiatives that are taken in this sense so that you can be really autonomous. And for me, as I said to the youth and everyone, the idea is not necessarily to integrate people into the public service, because I say we must remove the spirit of the public service from our heads, but we must manage to produce wealth. That's why entrepreneurship and industries are what we're launching into, so you can truly have decent permanent jobs and take care of your families. Speaking in that vein, as you asked for more training centers, the mapping will tell us what kind of center and where to create it. If we create centers without knowing where the widows and orphans are concentrated, we won't be effective. So, by registering on the platform, we can map and choose the right locations to set up training centers. We'll train you, and in everything we do in terms of industrialization, we're only at the beginning. I can assure you that many industries will be set up in Burkina Faso, both by the private and public sectors. And with the private sector, we're discussing so that if they create businesses, you'll be prioritized for certain jobs. I think many have adopted that. For example, I visited the waste treatment industry in Po, and almost 100% of the women working there are widows of FDS soldiers. Regarding the soldier delegation, I was assured today that the process is almost complete, so I think it will be resolved in the coming days. It often takes a bit of time because it's all related to the lack of lists. The lack of lists is a very serious problem, and once that's resolved, I think things will be better. Because if we don't know, anyone could come forward claiming to be a widow of a fallen hero, but there needs to be a minimum of proof. And you yourselves mentioned conflicts between in-laws and widows. It's not easy. We've experienced such situations, and we must take all precautions to ensure you are the beneficiaries. Regarding the harmonization of decrees, I think that's a point we'll address quickly within the National Armed Forces and the Internal Security Forces to see how we can harmonize indemnities and see what's feasible in that area. Also, I think you're gradually seeing the establishment of the COMEPEC, and these indemnity issues will soon be transferred to the COMEPEC because they create real problems within families.
Bientôt, ça va basculer donc au niveau de la COMIPEC parce que ça crée réellement beaucoup de problèmes au niveau des familles. Nous avons été sur le terrain.
We've been in the field. We've witnessed these situations.
Particulièrement, j'ai perdu un soldat entre-temps.
I particularly lost a soldier, and in addition to the unit's indemnity, we often contribute to support our widows and children. But the first time I lost a man, I was very disappointed, because what we contributed in the unit and gave, the widow received nothing. It was a real shock. We had to recontribute as we could and support her. That's why I said to take this indemnity issue into account at the COMEPEC, because no one wants to lose a man in the field. But if someone falls for the homeland, we shouldn't just give money afterwards and give it away like that. It won't serve any purpose. So, I said to think about not just paying a lump sum, but to develop something for the widows and orphans to benefit from.
qu'on puisse élaborer en tout cas quelque chose pour la veuve et les orphelins qui puissent bénéficier de ça.
We've already modified the family code. You've seen that we've now legalized customary marriage. So, those who don't want to go before the mayor, I think it will be valid from now on. We're waiting for the assembly to adopt it so we can move forward. Because it's our culture. We get married like that. We don't know why people said we had to have a marriage from elsewhere to be recognized. No, we're used to getting married like this. So we decided to modify that in the family code so that we recognize it, whether someone gets married in a church, mosque, or traditional ceremony, so that we can make a clear document, and it will be valid before the law and even at the Comipec. During enrollment, the soldier must be able to say who his wife, partner, or children are. The enrollment is done with all these files so that in case you never know. At the Comipec, I come back to that a lot because we've planned many things there to support you. Notably, we've planned a solidarity fund there. We make deductions, we save, it's mandatory savings, and it's all for the families. Because as a soldier, anything can happen at any time. But we want that if it happens, the families aren't in a very complex situation. So it's not only at the National Armed Forces level, but the Comipec takes into account all the internal security forces. Regarding social housing, there's no problem. I think those are reflections we'll have, and I'll give you my vision. I know many people know it. We can't continue to build isolated social housing like we do. So I told the Minister of Urbanism to switch to an apartment system. We need to build upwards and have apartments. When the state can do it, we'll see how we can give advantages. And as I said, even through the Comipec, we want to see how soldiers can really have this type of housing and be safe once again. Because if we continue with social housing like we do now, with a living room, 1 or 2 bedrooms, a bit scattered, when we're 50 million, how will we do it? We won't be able to cultivate anymore because we'll build all over Burkina Faso. There won't be any land left. Everyone will have their plot. We won't manage. So I said to stop all that and start building upwards. And so the reflection is on that currently, so we can launch the work. And in that, we'll have apartments with a social housing system, and people will be safe at home. Having a roof is the most important thing, and being really safe. So, those are aspects that the ASBOVIG can take into account in due time. We'll see what facilities we can have. And in that way, I've given instructions at the Comipec to facilitate that. Regarding indemnity files, exactly, we talked about it. Even the death certificate is a problem to get. We've also faced that. As I said, once you lose a man in the field, as a unit leader, you can't just ignore the situation. You have to follow up. Is the death certificate issued? Has the family received their rights? So I've experienced those situations where you have to suffer. I've given instructions to certain ministers responsible for that area, so that, for example, someone who died on detachment in a given commune, we need to find a way for certain documents to be done at the central level, instead of saying to go back there to do certain documents. So we've taken that into account. It's being resolved. If it's not already done, we'll set up a one-stop shop so that if someone leaves a province to come and do indemnity documents, they don't have to make multiple trips. They come once or twice maximum to Ouagadougou or Bobo, and they're done. So that's already taken into account, and by then, I hope we'll give you the procedure and show you the one-stop shops that will be set up for that. Regarding the PIAs, as I said, we're doing it little by little through the Ministry of Justice. You're following it bit by bit. They're studying the files, and we're classifying people on the list of PIAs of the nation. But in addition to all that, many things are planned. Because it's planned to build boarding schools for the PIAs of the nation to take care of them, and it will be completely free, with all the necessary amenities. If they want to board, they can board. For those who don't want to board and want to come and go, we'll do everything possible. And not only will they be among themselves, but other people will be able to join. But the schools will be for the PIAs of the nation. And in addition to that, it's about building the school, of course, but we need to follow them and be able to integrate them. So, a lot of data has already been collected, and we have a technical roadmap for the PIAs. Because whatever we say, if someone sacrificed themselves for the homeland, we can't leave their child like that. So, many measures have been taken. In addition to educating them, allowing them to go to school calmly, we've prepared the ground so that they can be employed once they reach majority or reach a certain level of diploma, so they can be integrated and have a job. So that's already been thought out, and only the implementation of the first step remains, which is the schools for the PIAs of the nation. So, we've thought about it. We've found a school model, and that's what people have started to build bit by bit. So, it's not likely that we'll have many schools built by 2025, but in 2026, we'll see if we reach the number. We'll create the first schools for the PIAs of the nation with the necessary boarding facilities, and they'll learn many things there to be autonomous in due time. Regarding psychosocial care and everything else, I think the army itself didn't have psychologists like that. In the early days, you need a certain amount of psychological care. But we've recruited many, and we hope to act very soon. And the social aspect, I think many structures are already acting, notably social action, and a number of services within the army. And there are also donations made from time to time, and we try as much as we can to support, but it's still not enough. We will continue to intensify, and especially to computerize everything, so that it's truly optimal. I know that not all grievances have been mentioned. I'm waiting for the final document to see everything that's in it, and to see the implementation point by point, what can be implemented urgently, and what can be deferred as we go along. But one thing is certain, everything will contribute to the well-being of those who are the heroes. I call you heroes because I like to tell the men that we who go to battle are not the heroes. It's you who are behind, who spend sleepless nights thinking about everything that could happen. It's you who are the heroes, and it's you who take care of the families behind us. The military is never there every day on the ground with the same intensity. It's not easy. So everything has been thought out to take care of you, and so that you can take care of our little ones, and that they can be integrated smoothly. So, rest assured that the objective of this conference was to find solutions coming from you, and that we could enrich our reflection and allow you to be autonomous. So many members of the government are here. They will work with the various funds and see how we can support you in your entrepreneurial projects and also follow you up, especially because the idea is not just to give a loan to someone, but to accompany the person so that it serves its purpose. So the ASBOVIG will coordinate with all the structures that could be interested in this area and accompany you to be autonomous. I can only wish you good courage, because you are the most resilient of our homeland, and continue in that direction, and assure you that we have almost won this fight. We will win. Our Burkina Faso will be at peace, because that's the price our fallen comrades paid. And to ensure that Burkina Faso is at peace, we assure you that Burkina will be at peace. You will be able to live with dignity, and our children will grow up in a prosperous Burkina. We promise you that. Have a safe journey back to those who came from all four corners of Burkina Faso. May God bring you back in peace, safe and sound, and especially, long live our dear homeland. Homeland or death, we shall overcome. Thank you all very much.
I have a privilege of living with a grandmother at home, back at home. And I used to look at how she used to work. She was very, very, very hardworking. And we never even skipped a day without eating. We never skipped a day without food. I never skipped a day without actually going to school, especially when I was in primary school. She used to, and she was not working. I'm a kind of a person that my mother gave birth to me when she was a little bit young. She was still a teenager when she was giving birth to me. And therefore, she decided now, because I've given birth early, because she gave birth to my elder brother, and then she came again when she was a teenager, and again she gave birth to me when she was still a teenager. You see, because I don't know how those times things were working, but you see, right now, if a child gives birth when she's a teenager, it becomes a problem in society. People are saying, oh, it's too early, this and that. But I think a long time ago it was normal. So my mother had to go out of home to go and at least try and look for jobs on how we can actually survive, how she can actually support my grandma, because she had to leave me to my grandma, me and my elder brother. She had to leave us to our grandma at home, so that when we are there at home. So our grandma used to take care of us. But again, she had to go out in search of jobs and hustles here and there, so that they can be able to take care of us. Okay? And, now the husband left, things happen. My father now left, and she was now alone. Yeah, so things like those happened. I don't know, it was the plan of God, because here we are and we are doing good. It was the plan of God. And therefore, we were raised with a grandma without a mom, because a mom was out looking for job, and how he can support the grandma, and the father also was not there. Okay? And therefore, I used to see how my grandma sometimes used to work, because sometimes my grandma could not call my mom and ask him, the children are angry, we need food. No, sometimes he would just go out there and work her own things out and make sure that we have eaten, we've gotten food, we're satisfied, we're going to school, we don't lack clothes. Like that's the kind of a life we used to live. To an extent, me personally, I forgot if I have a mom, because I was 1 year old. I used to recognize my grandmother as my mother. When I looked at him, I saw a mother. When I looked at her, I saw my mom. I called her mom. My mother was young. When my mother came home, I used to refer to her as my auntie. Up to date, to date now, I am an old person. I've grown up. But that auntie name has not gotten out of my mouth. I still call her auntie. But I am comfortable when calling my grandmother mom than how I can call my mother mom. Okay? So when I used to see my grandmother, I used to see a mother. Why am I telling you this story? It is because I feel a certain kind of parenthood in Ibrahim Traore. I think the way people do, or rather the way people work things out, rather the way people treat people, the way people carry things out, the way people organize things, it shows some kind of a certain of love. Like, how do you? Because you can comfortable. If you're living with someone who is not your father, maybe a stepfather or other stepmom, you can easily hate this mother because of how he presents himself, or rather because of how she reacts to you. You can easily love this mother because of how she does things to you, how she treats you. People in Burkina Faso today, if I'm not wrong, many of them, when they look at Ibrahim Traore, they don't see him just as a president, or just as a captain, or just as a military leader. They do not see him just as a revolutionarist. They see him as a parent. Why are they seeing him as a parent? Because Ibrahim Traore, the things he's doing, he has even get to an extent, or to a point of standing into positions of parents. Because children who used to cry, they don't cry anymore. Children who used to suffer, they don't suffer anymore. Children who used to actually not go to school, parents who used to find it difficult to be able to provide food for their children, they're not finding it difficult anymore. Why? Because Ibrahim Traore has brought a solution. Farmers who used to find it difficult, how they can be able to grow their crops, how they can be able to maybe get money, how they can be able to get money from the things they are planting, their crops, be it maize, be it pyrethrum, be it coffee, everything they used to plant. Right now, they are getting money from those crops, from those things they are planting, from their farming things because Ibrahim Traore has made it possible for them. They do not see Ibrahim Traore as a president anymore. Right now, they see Ibrahim Traore as a parent. They see Ibrahim Traore as a father who got lost a long time ago, and then after some time, he came back and decided to take care of their children. When I see Ibrahim Traore, me personally today, I see that grandmother who used to take care of me at home. I see that grandma who used to take care of me, who used to put me at his back, at her back, and walk with me wherever, anywhere he could go. Of course, I was the younger one. My brother was the elder. So I used to stay at home. I used to stay with my grandma and walk with her everywhere. She used to call me a kid, her kid. Anytime she comes home and finds out that the tea is no more, that my brothers or maybe my cousins have finished the tea for me, she would complain because I was the younger one. She would even get to an extent of beating them up because they have finished tea for me. And sometimes I felt like, okay, I was young. I didn't feel like it was some kind of a dictatorship to other children. But you see, it is almost the same. Ibrahim Traore would rather beat France up than let his people in Burkina Faso and in Africa suffer. What does he say? He says, you know what, guys? You've been in this country for quite some time, but now my people now have to enjoy the fruits of their land. What are you supposed to do? You have to leave. He sacrifices himself. My grandmother could sleep angry, but when we had our grandchildren at home, we never lacked anything. We used to eat every day. We used to eat every day. What he used to do, she used to do, so that we can be able to get food, we don't know. She was not working. She didn't have a business. She didn't have anything she could do. Like we used to just to see her going out and sometimes hustling and coming back, and we are eating. Ibrahim Traore is the same. There's no different. Like he does not want to see anybody sleeping angry in Burkina Faso. What does he say? We must solve the problem of food in Burkina Faso. Because when we have the problem of food, that is where the biggest problem begins from. Our youths will begin doing bad things when there is no food. How Ibrahim Traore is taking care of the people in Burkina Faso, it's insane, man. It's crazy. Like we're trying to find out and trying to understand how is this thing happening, but we cannot be able to like we're just finding it so difficult. And I don't understand why is it that some other African leaders cannot actually use this way or follow this way to be able to do the same thing that Ibrahim Traore is doing in Burkina Faso. I don't know. But Ibrahim Traore is a kind of a man that is so different. He's a parent. He is a parent. He is a grandfather to the children. He is a parent. He is a brother to the young men in Burkina Faso. Like, oh my God. If we can have leaders like Ibrahim Traore, Africa is changed. Not even many, just 5 or 10. Africa is changed, I'm telling you. Because this man does everything with passion. If it's about to help children to go to school, he does it with passion. If it's about creating jobs for the youths, he does it with passion. If it's about building factories and raising the economy of the country, he does it with passion. Today, as we are talking, Burkina Faso is the only country that is paying loan using the taxes that is coming from its own, within its own boundaries. And it's about to finish up that loan. Only Burkina Faso, not any other country. Tell me, out of 54 countries, Burkina Faso alone. Tell me. I find it so difficult. I can't even express my joy because I am very, very, very happy. Whenever I sit here, anytime I want to talk about Ibrahim Traore, I just feel so good. My mouth wants to talk about Ibrahim Traore every time and every moment. Go and check my videos. Go and check them. Go and check my videos. It is because this guy, my God. The love I have for Africa and the love I have for the people of Africa, I can see that love in Ibrahim Traore. And he is the only person I feel like I want to talk about. He is the only person I feel like I want all the world, the whole world, from the deepest part of the seas to the highest part of the air, everywhere, in the caves, in the holes, in darkness, in light, everywhere in this world, in every corner of this world, Ibrahim Traore should be known because he is a savior, a God sent, a revolutionary, a freedom fighter, the defender, the hope to the hopeless, the beacon of hope, the lover of the people, Ibrahim Traore. That guy, he is a man like no other. Now, you see, when you are a widow, your mother, your father, either a widower or a widow, whether you are an orphan, your parents died in the line of duty. Even if your child died in the line of duty and you are a parent to that child, you're compensated. You're taken care of for as long as it takes. That is what Ibrahim Traore is doing. This guy, I bet, he is coming from God direct. This guy, I think Ibrahim Traore looks like a person who's just dropped from heaven. I can't express my joy to the president of Africa, to the king of Africa. Tell me what you think on the comment section. I am the African Streamline. I love you all, my black brothers and my black sisters from all over the world. Adios, muchachos.